Welcome to Embracing Life Again. I'm Catherine Coffer, transition expert and minister. Together, we'll break through life's toughest barriers, rediscover joy, and start dreaming again. It's time to embrace life fully with purpose, passion, and hope. Welcome to Embracing Life Again. I'm your host, Catherine Coffer, and we bring inspiration through life's transitions. And I'm on location today at Regina
Martinelli.
Okay. At Regina Martinelli's studio in Sonoma. I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy to, even be able to interview you.
Thank you. I'm excited to have you here too.
Regina also has a show on the network, and it's called Your Wealthy Self. And it's about transforming your relationships with money, success, and abundance. So you're also a coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's a TV show host, coach, and just a lovely person. So she explores the emotional and psychological patterns that shape the entire experience of abundance. So we're going to be asking her some questions today to help you understand how money or abundance really controls our beliefs in it, really controls our outcome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here we go.
Great.
So first of all, tell us you can tell us who you are, but tell us your story, how you got here, how you became a mindset coach.
Okay, great, Kathy. So it started a long time ago. So I'm a fifth generation farmer. I started working in the fields when I was 6 years old, and I was the youngest of four, and that's just what our family did. Mm-hmm. So basically our motto was hard work. You have to work hard for your success. You have to work hard for money. Mm-hmm. And it's part of the family culture, part of the family belief system, and also how you belong to this family. I'm sure lots of you can relate to this. It's not uncommon. It's not unique to my family. It's not even unique to families. It's cultural, countries. It can be global. And I saw it, and I saw it, I lived it. It was one of those things. And as I got older and went to college and went out into the world, I was exhausted. By the time I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I was exhausted. I was exhausted from having to work so hard for the money that I got. And there came a point where I just felt like there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. And I would dream of maybe winning the lottery or get rich quick schemes. And if I ever did get a windfall of abundance of money or something, it felt like I wasn't deserving because I hadn't worked hard for it. So then it would disappear. I'd either have to spend it sporadically, or I'd have some unforeseen expense, like something wrong with the house, the car, and it would just go.
Yep.
And I started to then, loved working on myself and looking internally. I started looking at this kind of stuff, and I started looking at, what is that about me? And we have these beliefs that run, and I call it the money set point, where you may consciously with your cerebral cortex brain go, I deserve this much, I deserve to have it all, happily, easily, successfully, and joyfully. And yet your subconscious, mostly the reptilian brain, which is in the back here, which is the oldest brain, may have a belief running that says, no, you only deserve this much.
Which mostly happens because it's kind of a fight in the reptilian brain.
Yeah, fight, flight, freeze.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's down here and your belief consciously are up here, this conscious brain does not have seniority. So this brain goes, oh my God, you've made 10 times what you usually make. And it has to bring it back down until it can go,
oh, okay,
and
I'm
reset.
okay now.
Yeah, and relax. Mm-hmm. So you're constantly in these battle of the brains. And it was really interesting to kind of realize that. And then also, if you don't work hard enough, you don't feel struggle, then it's not yours to have. And so putting this together and then doing my self-work and learning new tools, how to do it differently and how to have it differently, I then wanted to share it with other women in the world, because you can actually have what you want with ease. You can do it without the struggle, without the stress and the anxiety and the overwhelm. and you can actually have the life that you want. And it doesn't have to be how your family did it, but there's always those belief patterns or those sensations that show up that are like, are they still going to like me? Is there going to be something wrong with me? Am I going to be different? And those are also beliefs to notice, because those are also patterns that are running about belonging. And all of that can be shifted. So you can actually have what you want the way you want it and be with the people that you want to be with.
Right. Has it affected? I mean, you are different.
Yeah.
You've decided to be different than your family, right?
Yeah.
So has that affected any relationships, or have you kind of made it work and they became more accepting?
Well, I think it's one of those things where I can say it more generally, because I'm not trying to, here's the thing. If I were to tell my family, who are still farmers and hard workers, oh, you don't have to work so hard, they will take that kind of they possibly could take that as kind of an affront, or I'm shaming their belief system or who they are and what our family has had.
Right.
So I just let people have the experience that they want to have, and that there are other places that you can choose from. It's kind of like when you have a friend who's like, every time I go to Target, I can never find what I want. There's all these people, blah, blah, I have the worst time. First people go, every time I go to Target, I find something on a deal, I find something I want to buy, blah, blah, blah. You're like that person who's like, they're really committed to a certain experience. Right. I can offer some things up, but it's not my job to change it. And just like someone who's really happy, and I have a bad experience with something, it's not my job to change their experience of having a happy experience. It's just, I have my experience that comes through my filters and my belief patterns, and other people have theirs. So
I love how you're not codependent.
Yeah.
I love that. I've had to learn to do that.
Yeah.
It's been a pattern. Yeah, and I've had to learn to
I will say
let people be.
Right. And I've done that a lot with friends too, who are still caught in this place of, life is so hard, or making money is so hard, and I let them have that experience, but I probably spend less time with them. Because I realize there's people I want to spend time with who don't want to have that experience. Even if my friends would say, I don't want to have that experience, there's still part of them that keeps wanting to share how terrible or how struggling life is and how stressful it is, because they're trying to exercise it out, but part of them also gets a belonging hit from it. And that's not how I want to belong to somebody, or belong with somebody, or be connected to somebody. I want to talk about something different.
Very good. Very good. So, many people don't connect money to healing from trauma or loss. So, how do our money patterns reflect our emotional wounds?
So great. I love this question. I love using the lens of money to look at how people reach for what they want and how much they feel they deserve, because it shows everything, highlights everything. Because money is one way that we engage with the world. And it's one way in which we reach for what we want and try to create what we want. So if we have emotional wounds that aren't healed, whether it's from our childhood or somewhere else, it can be like, I'm not loved. I'm all alone. I always have to do it by myself. Or I'm not safe. I'm not seen or valued. I'm abandoned. All those things show up in money, where money will actually do the same thing to you. So if you have this, I'm an abandonment issue, you'll probably have the sense that you don't have enough money. If you feel like you're not loved enough, you'll probably have the sense, or that you're not worthy, that you don't have enough money. You don't deserve to have opportunity. You don't deserve to have the life that you want to have.
So true.
And it's not just in money. What I see when people have these beliefs, it shows up in their health, in their relationships, and it shows up, again, money is the easiest one for me to see. But that's what happens when you start going, and as you heal those wounds, then you start to notice, oh my God, I have more money, I have more opportunity, I have more resources in my life. I have more friends, I have more love, I have more of me available to myself and to the world. So healing those wounds is really important, because it actually affects everything in your life.
I can attest to that.
Yes.
When I first started my journey, even starting my show, I still had being in the background. I never ever imagined being in a show, or even, I knew I could help people because I was already doing help with my horse and my dog, right? Bringing smiles and hope to other people. So I knew I could do that. But I didn't know that I had the confidence or even the skill to do my own show. Plus, I had to work on my codependence.
Yep.
and know that I am worth it, and that I am worthy, and I'm loved.
Yeah.
That in that when you get beaten down by life, that's one of the harder things to recognize is, where am I? Where's my beliefs right now? What am I doing right now? Right. So,
because if it's not true, it's not a belief.
Right.
But beliefs aren't true. So it's kind of this conundrum of, it's like life is hard, or we have to work hard for money, and we do it enough that we actually believe that's the truth. And it's not a belief unless it's true, but it's not. It's just a notion. All beliefs can be shifted.
They can be shifted and not real, but it's real to you.
Yeah.
Because it's your belief.
But I say that as in, if you have a belief that isn't working for you anymore, or giving you an experience that you don't want to have, or you're not getting the experiences you want to have, then let's change some beliefs.
Right. So how do you even start changing your belief to get it in your heart? Because it has to go from your conscious to your subconscious, and to me it has to be in your heart, right? You just have to feel it. You just know it. It's a knowing, the new belief that you have to have, right? Or am I?
No, of course, that's definitely true. The reason I pause about that is with the work that I do specifically, I work with the reptilian brain and the language of the brain. So sometimes it's not that it comes from your heart. You just go, oh, I'm not upset by that anymore. Where's my irritation? I'm not irritated. For example, I had this client who she just dreaded looking at her credit card statement. So she'd procrastinate. She'd procrastinate all day for hours. And she'd pick fights with her husband just because she's like, she subconsciously just didn't want to sit down to do it. And so she's picking fights, doing stuff, and she'd sit down and do it. So we worked on that. And then it was like the next time she did her credit card statement, she sat down and she did it and she was done. And she looked at her husband and she was like, do you realize it's the first time I've done my credit card statement and I've not picked a fight with you? Because the belief was shifted that what was ever, the stuff that we've pulled out that was behind all that. So sometimes it's just like that. It's not beliefs that you believe about yourself and how you feel is wonderful from your heart, of course.
Right.
And that's such a great, true north place to go. And there are ways when you shift patterns of beliefs that it's like the block is gone. The drag or the resistance is gone. And you're like, oh, and you didn't have to overcome it with love. You didn't have to overcome it with compassion for yourself. It just happened because of where these are sourced and how how you shift it differently. One way, for people sitting at home and watching this, to do it if you don't have other tools available to you, I would say the first thing to do about how to shift your beliefs in your experience is to focus on what you want and noticing, like if you want abundance, right, in your life, or maybe you want to feel love, is look around and where do you have it? Where do you have abundance in your life? Like, there's an abundance amount of air I can breathe. Personally, I have a lot of hair, so I have an abundance of hair. There is like an abundance of sky that I can see from where I live. There's an abundance amount of grass, right? Or love. Oh, I love my plant so much. I love my pet cat. I love this person. I love whatever it is. And you keep focusing on the things that you already have, the things that you want that you already have. And what'll happen is your brain starts to reshape the reticular activating system to start to filter in the love that's there or the abundance. So you start to actually have an experience of, oh, I have a lot of blankets. Like I have a lot of blankets in my house. Oh my God, I have an abundance of blankets. If you ever need a blanket, I have blankets. And you start going, oh, and it's something as simple as that. You open up the drawer, oh my God, I have a million forks. I have an abundance of forks. And it's something as, I have an abundance amount of clutter. I mean, it's these things, it could be that simple, or, oh, I love that book. I have an abundance of books that I love. And just even putting your attention on that simple thing, doesn't mean you have to buy anything, you don't have to ship anything, or do anything differently. That actually has your brain reprogrammed to start looking for the places where you have abundance, where you have love. And then you start to feel it. And then you actually are feeling it more and it's more positive. And then you start to attract more. Now, granted, if there are big things that you're trying to create and big things you're trying to heal, it's always great to get a skilled practitioner, someone who can really help you. But in the small sense, you can actually even write them down. And there's a study I used to do this when I used to have a team that I used to coach, a sales team. I'd have them write down everything they ever did well. I'm talking even kindergarten. Like you brought in like a stuffed animal for show and tell. Does not matter when or where. It could even be I tied my shoes, I brushed my teeth well today, I poured the milk well. It doesn't matter. You write that down for 2 pages and then you look at it for 2 minutes and then you go to try to say something bad about yourself. Your brain has a hard time going there. They've done studies on this. And so when I was coaching salespeople, it really helped them, get into the groove where they were going. But it also works with all of us. Like it's training your brain to look at the positive, and then you start to feel that because it starts to become embodied, and it has a harder time switching to the negative.
Okay. Is that also the term, what you focus on expands? Kind of?
Yeah, so if you focus on the negative, it's going to expand. If life is a struggle, you're going to see only struggle. If you ever wanted to buy a car or like
look... The reticular activator.
Right, the RAS.
Yeah.
Reticular activating system. Mm-hmm. Have you ever gone to buy a car, or one time I went to go buy some booties, and I was walking around going, oh my God, there's all these booties out in the world that I've never noticed before that people are wearing. Or look at this, there's all of, like a friend of mine was trying to buy a Prius. There's Priuses everywhere. She'd never noticed them before. It was her first electric car. And she says, it's not like they all started driving the day she looked.
No.
It's just her reticular activating system started filtering out all the other cars and just looking for that.
True.
Same thing when I was pregnant. I was like, oh my God, there's so many pregnant women. I don't ever see pregnant women. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, when I was pregnant, I saw them all. So your brain is selecting for what you have your attention on. So it's really important as of self-preservation to actually put your attention on what the things are that you want to have your attention on. Is it really, really serve you to have your attention on negative things or what's not going right in the world or in your life? Or is it actually, and granted, there are things you may need to tend to, but what if you put your attention on what is working?
Right.
Then those things that aren't working don't seem so colossal.
Okay. So someone that's going through grief, what would be 3 steps they could take to never get over, but just start the process of getting through? Because when you're in grief, you can either choose, most people choose to escape or hide, right, in their grief. Mm-hmm. So if they choose now, okay, I need to get out of this and start living again. Is there 3 easy steps that you can think of to get them more on this path of thinking positively or thinking more abundantly? Because sometimes you're so focused on your loss and what you don't have. That I was taught that no, I want to know what you had that you liked and what you want now, right? So that's kind of what
that sounds great.
Teach. So I was just wondering, how do you get out of that funk to make that choice? To change your right? I mean, I don't know if it's that.
I'm not a grief specialist, but yes.
I know, but
but it is
not,
mindset.
But everybody, it's mindset.
So one of the things I would say, and again, I would apply this to anything.
Right.
First of all, getting very clear about what it is you want. A lot of times we'll say, oh, I want, like I get people come and say, oh, I want to win the lottery, or I want $1 million in the bank. I'm like, okay, so what will having $1 million do for you? Oh, I'll get a sense of freedom, I'll get a sense of, this, I'll pay all my bills. Okay, when you can do all that, what will having that do for you? Oh, well, then I'll actually be able to breathe easier, sleep well at night, and, really enjoy my day. Okay, and when you have that, what will having that do for you? And you just keep going through the layers. I'll be at peace, and I think I'll be happy. So what you really want, Catherine, is to be at peace and be happy, yes? Yeah, so there's $1 million, and there's peace and being happy. Just because you have $1 million in the bank doesn't mean you're going to
doesn't make money
it's
does
not in and of
change.
itself. So it's really the peace and the happiness, right? Or the joy or whatever it is, the calm. So what will have you feel happier? What will get you closer to feeling that sense of peace that you're looking for? What are the things that you actually enjoy doing? Is it being in nature? Is it meditating? Is it singing? Is it dancing? Is it drawing? Is it reading? Spending time with people? Painting your toes? What is it that gives you a sense that even a small, it's not like it's going to heal everything and make it be like euphoria, but just taking small steps. The other piece, so knowing what you want, right? That's very clear, and then staying focused on it as we talked before. Another one is to not resist the pain. Because the more we resist, the more it has something to fight against. And I mean, this has been proven time and time again. It's also, I forget the martial arts, but there's a martial arts way where they roll with it and then they roll out of the punch that's coming, and then they're like, there's nowhere for the punch to land, and the other guy's standing and the other guy's on the floor. So it's a bit of that, like, as best that you can. I know it probably feels like it's gonna consume you, devastate you more, and it's gonna reopen all the wounds. But it's just energy that needs to go through, and it's such a beautiful time to be experienced yourself in touch with so much love and that open space of the loss. It's, I don't know how this is going to sound, but it is a gift to know yourself in that and to know yourself on the other side. So to not resist it and know this is me today crying and I don't know when I won't. You know? And then it's like, but what would make me feel good is having a cup of tea and a chocolate chip cookie. That's me. And then I'm like, okay. Because I've had loss, and I remember one day I finally realized I didn't cry for a whole day. And it was like, oh, wow, okay. Doesn't mean tomorrow I won't cry.
Right.
But it was also, I could feel, it's almost like the new growth of spring. Like there was new parts of me that were opening up and expanding and available. And I didn't get consumed by it. I didn't get devastated or annihilated by it. It took the time it took, and it went through.
And everyone has different timing.
Right.
It takes people different. It just depends.
And in your own way.
Yes.
And, you know, find those that you can kind of lean on. Like I remember I had friends and I said, this is what happened. And this is what I want you to share with people because I don't want to keep telling the story. So will you tell them for me? And they said, sure. And it made it so much easier. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'd start.
Yeah. That's good. Because so many people want to drown. They don't want to look at the pain, so they drown it in alcohol or drugs or whatever because they don't want to face it. But I feel the quicker you just start facing it, the quicker God can bring you through it and begin to heal.
Yeah, and it'll always be part of your experience.
Oh, always.
And it's a beautiful thing to share and connect with people about.
Everyone's
in the future.
experienced loss. Everybody.
Yeah, and at some point you'll be the person that someone will be newly experiencing loss saying,
Yeah.
I had this thing, like, I've been there. And they'll be like, oh, thank you. You know?
And then you can help them.
Yeah, and you feel good because, you know, it's a part of life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I don't mean that to sound glib, but...
No, it's not always
is.
loss of a person. It's loss of a job. Right?
Yeah.
Divorce.
Right. Health.
Health.
Fortune.
It can be a lot.
Yeah, it can be a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah. So the one big thing I find is you have to have hope through it. Right? You have to find hope. Right? Because if you don't have hope, what is there? Right? So that's a belief also.
Yeah, right.
Hope is a belief.
Hope is a belief.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I always had to find the hope in it. Yeah. So I don't know if that helps the reptilian brain or not.
You probably no. It doesn't deal
Does
with
not.
hope. It's
Oh.
fighter. It's survival or not.
Okay.
And hope is a whole different. It's a conversation for a different time.
Okay.
Because there's the hoping and then there's hope.
Correct. That's correct. So, how does someone's past pain or trauma shape their beliefs about abundant success and self-worth? It's similar. We were talking about patterns, but now, how does the past pain shape the beliefs if they're not working on what we've been talking about, I think?
Okay, say that again.
How does someone's past pain or trauma shape their beliefs about abundance, success,
Yeah.
or even self-worth.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things, thank you for the question, is we always make it about us.
So true.
We just always make it about us. And so if we've had past trauma, a lot of times we'll say, what did I do? Why did this happen to me? What did I do wrong? How do I deserve this? This is so unfair. And when we start going down that path, then it becomes a deserving issue. And if I deserve this kind of trauma, then I must deserve this much success, this much abundance, this much money. Because if I didn't, that would have never happened in my life. And, I would have it all. And so we can be caught in that place, and then that goes on a loop, and then we have more of that, and then it attracts more of that. So it really can shape how we experience our life going forward, if we choose to, but it doesn't have to happen that way. One of the things that's interesting that I love about the brain, and it's just how we're designed, everything we feel we deserve, how loved we feel, how much love we deserve, how safe we feel, how much belonging we have, how okay it is to express who we are, and how much goodness and how much struggle we have to have in order to get that, in order to have what we want, is all put in place by the time we're 6. I mean, you can't even tie your shoes. Yeah, you can't even tie your shoes, and you've already decided for yourself how much goodness. And people go, what? But it's in the brain. It's about child development.
Wow.
That's why it's so much in child development that happens. But it's also revisable, those beliefs you put in. You would never let a 3-year-old decide how much money you could have in your life. First of all, they can't count. They may say $300. And you'd be like, okay, that's all I get to have in my life? But that little one, that version of you, if they've had trauma or loss or upset, they are living that on a loop. And it starts to show up in symptoms in our adult world, from anxiety, stress, overwhelm, procrastination, fear, the roller coaster of money. I had money, I don't have money. I have money, I don't have money. Open a business, don't have business. Really interested in this, not interested in that. Relationships, oh great, horrible. Oh really great, horrible. We're breaking up, falling in love, breaking up. And even health, because it's playing out what our reptilian brain knows we can survive. And it's those childhood patterns that stay locked. And so when we have, later in life, when we have these traumas like loss of job or loss of fortune or even health, illness, and other things that we have people in our lives that become a loss to us in some way, shape, or form, it's part of that reptilian brain in the RAS, tracking for how else we can experience loss and trauma and these things we experienced as a young child, because the brain, this part of the brain knows we can survive it. So it will keep replaying it for us because it knows we can survive it until we shift that and the loop is changed. And then we put better options on our menu of what we can survive versus an unstable parent, an alcoholic parent, feeling or being homeless or unloved or emotionally abandoned, whatever it was as a child. And then it feels that way. You feel emotionally abandoned. Maybe you'll be abandoned by a spouse because you will unconsciously choose someone who's going to leave in one way or another, or by your job or your health or whatever it is.
So true.
Yeah. So it all links.
I know.
There's a big web of ecology.
So some people are into talking to their little girl, right? We need to talk to your little girl and let her know you're safe, you're good, right? So does that really, is that something that helps the reptilian brain?
No.
Okay.
Well, I say no, and then I giggle because I'm going to caveat that.
I know.
Because it's not really fair just to say no. I will say if it feels good to you, then do it. Whatever it feels, because everyone's different.
I think it's silly, but I've been told to do that.
Can I ask you why you think it's silly?
Well, now it's not. Because I didn't know before you're 6, you've already figured out, well, I was neglected as a kid, and I felt abandoned. And not that anything bad about my parents at all. It's just, I don't know, right? So I've gone through life like that, so I get it. And so my therapist will tell me, you need to talk to your little girl and tell her it's safe and you need to be an adult today, not react from your little girl. So, right, so sometimes it's like, okay, set yourself aside, let's be an adult now, right? And basically it's being conscious of who you're being at the time right? Or I don't know.
That's
I
why
don't know
I
if I'm
asked.
accurate or not, but that's why I said it feels silly to tell my little girl to go and play so I can be an adult right now. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
So
So what I would say to that is, in the work that I do, we do talk to those little ones often.
okay.
So that's why I was like, no, because there's a way that you phrase it that, and I'll go into this. So we don't age the way that it's not that we just age.
Like our body ages? We don't age the same?
Well, we age, but but we're not like now 35 and then we're 36. We actually collect ages of ourselves. So there's still a 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-old Kathy inside of you. Mm-hmm. And those are all in there. And if 3-year-old Kathy had a trauma, a loss, an upset, she's still in it. And 6-year-old Kathy may be excited about braiding her own hair. But 3-year-old Kathy's like, So that little 3-year-old needs to know she's okay and she survived. And that can be over now. So there's a way that I work with people's younger selves and their brain that's not through the conscious. And when you say like, oh, should I just talk to her? You're using your cerebral cortex, and this is where language happens. This is the part of the brain that's not fully online until we are in our mid-20s and fully functioning. When the reptilian brain that we've been talking about back here is fully online and functioning in utero. So these two do not talk to each other. Language does not happen back here. This brain does not use language.
What does it use? Experience?
No, it's only in the now. It's are you alive? Are you alive? Are you alive? Are you alive? So it doesn't, and it's kind of somatic, but it's not at all language. So when we try to say things like, oh, you're alive now, you're fine, if this is being triggered, it doesn't even know what that means. Like, it's also why like mantras can feel good in a minute and kind of get us focused on what we want, but it never reaches when we've had a trauma where we've been fight, flight, or freeze mode. It doesn't get here. It doesn't actually impact it in the way we're wanting it to, because language hangs out up here. This is where we vision how great life can be. This is how we dream, and we have consequences, and we have all these wonderful things up here. Back here, it's like, am I alive? Are you alive?
Right.
Are you alive? Are you alive? Are you alive yet? And this is also what makes movies really fun, where you can watch a scary movie like Jaws and be in your living room, and when the shark is coming up, you pull your feet up because you don't want to get bitten, but you're on a couch on land. But this part doesn't know that you are imagining it. It thinks it's real. So there's a whole, it's a much more complex process, but it's important. And I'll say what's interesting about the human design is that they've done studies where they've had a cat in a room, and a person will come in like an adult and go, bah, bah, and just be yelling and upset. And the cat will be like, what's wrong with you? You weirdo. And if you have a child in there, a baby, they will say, what's wrong with me? And it's just this parent yelling, right? Or not even their parent, but it could be a person yelling. The cat's always like, you are crazy. And the child's like, it's about me. So those younger versions of us have picked up on things and made decisions about things that we didn't have the full capacity as an adult to decide it wasn't about us. We made it about us. And children do this. They decide it must be me. Like, I'm not getting the love, it must be me. I mean, they're not thinking in sentences because they're not in sentences, but that's the experience. Because there's two reasons. One, if they are the source of the problem, then they can help be the source of the solution. So if I'm more of this or less of that, then my parent will be less upset and I'll get the love I need. And if I can do that, I can also, number two, help heal my parent. And then my parent will be the happy, joyful parent that I want.
So that's the codependent part.
Yeah, but yeah, in children, yeah. And they get in this, they get just in this place, but it's also for self-preservation, and they just want to give their love, and they just want to be loved. And one of the most devastating things is when your love isn't received, that you have to give. Especially when that's all you have to give is a little being. Not all, but that's what they're most wanting to give. So there's a lot of that, and there's a lot of inner child work that's important that can be done if it's done right. And
I don't think a lot of people know how to do it right.
Right, and you would never scold your little child like, oh, just go out and play, I'm going to be an adult. You want to be gentle because she's already been yelled at and scolded, and she's terrified because of whatever went on with her. And she needs to be gently, chatted to.
So true.
But again, when you just do it cerebrally, consciously, it has a hard time getting to some of those deep, deep belief patterns because they're in the subconscious and they don't do language the way we do.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for being on.
Oh, yeah.
But I also want to ask you if they have more questions or if they'd like to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
Oh, that's so great. Thank you. So you can reach me at reginamartinelli.com, which is ReginaMartinelli. It's a lot. Or you can go to yourwealthyself.com. It's my website. You can reach me there. Yeah. It's the easiest way to find me.
Okay. And then do you have a consultation or anything that you do? What do you do when people say, hey, I want to explore?
Yeah, there is a link on there to get on my schedule to do a little conversation to see what you're up to, what you're needing, what you're wanting to work on, and see if I can help you. And it's a fit. I also have courses that I offer people can do. I have larger group courses. I have smaller courses that you can DIY at home yourself.
Oh, that's cool. So
Yeah.
if you have do you have an inner child one?
No, that's
or is that you have to do that one-on-one with you?
It's part of all of it. That's just part of the work. Like there's one course I have around money, about editing your money story edit, because the story is really the stuff we grew up with what we believe as a child too.
So true.
And then there's another one about self-worth, and there's a big course called Your Wealthy Self, which is a lot of fun. And then there's articles on there you can read that I've written about all of this to just get more steeped in the work that I do to see if it resonates with you or not.
Oh, that is so cool.
Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Kathy. It's great being here, and thank you everyone for watching.
Yes, and so I will see you next week, and stay tuned for Zebby and Theo Adventures. Okay, bye-bye for now.
Coming up next, Adventures with Theo and Zebby, right here on Embracing Life Again with Catherine Koffer.
So I am with Zebby right now. He's actually right here just kind of plugging along. He doesn't feel that great, but we need to get him out sooner than later. And this is his buddy Macho. So we're bringing Macho out with him, so if he does come up to a dog, we can see how he reacts, and then he'll probably look to Macho to see, oh, it's okay. But anyway, you'll see us walk down the street, and we're probably going to be going to the vet clinic, which is right down the street, and see if there's any dogs there for him, to see how he reacts.
Zeb's not feeling too well today.
So the reason I am carrying this now is because if a dog does come at me, I will forewarn the owner that I will smack the dog. So it's not to hit Zebby or anything, it's just to keep the dog out of our range. Just if you're wondering why I have the little prop. So this is the trail that Zebby was on when he got attacked, and there are two dogs coming up. So we're gonna see how he does. So Phyllis, why don't you go with me? And there's a horsey too.
They are adorable.
Hello. Oh, it's just a little one of you.
Now, are they minis or ponies?
Yeah. They're mini.
They are minis.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Can I see how he is? Huh? He got attacked by a dog that was off leash over here last Thursday, and I just want to make sure he's okay because he was really timid.
Do you need us to do something?
No, I just wanted to see if he'll come up to you.
Yeah, that's fine. And this one's friendly.
I think this one is too, although he sometimes barks at other dogs.
sweetheart. A little Frenchie. Are you okay with him?
Oh, I probably want to play.
You're doing so good.
I'm sure he'd like to play with the horses.
You can come around.
He likes to play with the cows, but he gets
Oh, you're doing so good, Zeb. Good boy.
Good job, Zebby.
Yeah, he's a therapy horse. You do
Yeah, I've
have
been
to
over
go
there
stuff-
to volunteer.
Right, with dogs, right? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I haven't been called yet, but I would, I was out just hop over.
Yeah.
Hop over.
We got three puppy interactions.
Hi,
There.
baby.
You're doing so good.
You're doing good, Zeb.
The dog just jumped out.
A dog was circling us and just hit his hind end, and he's still yucky from it. Yeah.
Zach, you said?
Good job,
Zebby.
Zebby.
Oh,
Zebby.
I know. We're here to bring smiles and hope. That I can't tell you what he'll do because he had to fight off the dog.
Yeah, probably
So when he,
This is Macho, and he's a little nippy, so.
no, Macho is Phyllis's, and he also belongs to the car.
Okay.
Naughty but nice.
He's being a good boy.
No reaction whatsoever. That's wonderful, Zebs. You
Say
did
hi to Rocco again to make sure.
Yeah, say hi, Zeb.
Boy, it got nice and warm today.
You did good. And so he was so skittish coming home seeing any dogs that I'm like, oh no. He can't be afraid of dogs because he works with dogs, right? So
He's doing
that's
really
good. You're doing really good, babe.
Good job, Zebby.
You're doing so good.
Good job. He's like, yeah, this dog doesn't scare me.
It was a Siberian Husky mix, and he had bi eyes, right? But they just didn't look right. You know how you know a dog just doesn't look right that day, and he didn't look right, and he wasn't right. Oh, hi, honey. So I brought this just to fend them off.
Yeah, so smart.
Fend anybody off. Yeah. 'Cause, I mean,
You're
this
doing
is
so good.
what he does, and he can't be like
Right.
trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is good because he's.
That's really good.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
you're
not
so
reacting at
good.
all. That is
See,
perfect,
there are
Zeb.
nice puppies out there.
Good job,
There are
Zebby.
nice puppies. Not all of them are gonna bite you.
Good job, Zebs. Oh, good job, Zebby.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
interacting.
Are you coming back? Okay. Enjoy. Thank you.
Good job, Zebby. And Macho, too. That was wonderful.
You've taken the first step to embracing life again. Let's continue to break barriers, find joy, and dream without limits. Join us next time and let's discover inspiration through every transition together.